Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. I've done shows in the past about, having a cellmate and what that's like and how important it is to have somebody in the cell that you can vibe with and, because that's the most vulnerable time you're going to have in the penitentiary other than being in the shower, because when you're in the cell at night, you sleep. Or you're relaxing, you don't have your boots on. In most situations anyway. I know some people that sleep with their boots on. I'm talking about they trifling too. But that's the most vulnerable you're ever going to be in the penitentiary, And you want somebody that's laid back, chilled, or on the same level as you. Let's just put it that way, right? But that's not always the case. So you try to maneuver and get somebody in the cell with you that you can vibe with or won't be in conflict with the things that you might have going on, or it's the police, and in one situation, what I'm getting ready to talk to y'all about in this show is that I remember years ago, I was still in rotation then, right? So the decisions all fell to me, but I got a letter, from the G of the state. He run everything, and he was telling me, he said, look, Joe, we don't need to have no brothers in the cell with no boys in that today, right? Which I didn't see that as a problem per se, because you don't get to control, for the most part, who gets off the bus, who gets put in your cell, who you're compatible with. That don't necessarily mean you own something, but in here, listen to me, the optics is everything. It means everything. And it was a situation that kept coming up at the penitentiary that I was at. So it was these brothers they were moving into the cells, with these boys. And then when I would drop in, me and my number two, we drop in to see how things was going, in the pods and whatnot, unannounced, of course. And they running around, the boys is cooking for them and doing all this and doing all that. So I saw what, the head of the state was talking about when it's like, we don't want this because it makes us look a certain way and all this and that, right? Because people were talking. They were like, man, them gangsters, man, they messing with boys, they doing this and they doing that, right? So boom, I put it out there. I said, look, y'all got to move out of the cells. I ain't telling you that you can't be cool with people. You pick your own friends, right? But if you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, then we're going to chop your hand off. Understood. Everybody gets that. You feel what I'm saying? That's one of the laws that we have. It's not an issue of being one way or the other. It's about when you live in this lifestyle, you can't do that. Most definitely not out in the open, because that's what a lot of people do. They hide, y'all. I'm telling you, they hide. But here's the thing. So when that went down, everybody was cool with it and all this and that. And I had a couple of brothers that try to sneak around and geek around and do all these different types of things, and they got caught up or whatever, right? But we got this one brother that came to the compound. This brother was a good brother named Mac T. And when Mac T got to the compound, he gave him the rundown and he's telling me about himself. This is after he's gone through all the protocols of, making sure that he the business and all this and that, right? And after those few weeks of making sure that he was legit, he kicking with me one day, right? Me and my number two, we was sitting out, on the ball field like we always do, just chilling. He pulled up on us, wanted to talk to us and tell us about himself. And I'm sitting there listening, and I was one of the type of individuals, I didn't particularly care about your lit knowledge of what you know. When I say lit, y'all, I'm talking about literature that we, had to know. And these things were what we used to verify, if a person is legit or not. But that became a problem too, because you can get it anywhere, or somebody give it to you and you can memorize it and pretend to be one of the guys. But anyway, I didn't particularly care about asking a brother about how many pieces of lit they know, because we had to know a certain amount of pieces just to be verified by memory. You can't read it, you know what I'm saying? I didn't particularly care about, how long you had been a gangster, what kind of work you done put in and all this and that, because people make up these stories and all this and that. I wanted to know who you were as a person, your family, things like that, right? That would give me some kind of indication of what you cut from, I just need to know, like, if your dad is this way, or your mom is that way, or your brother, your sister, your nieces, nephew, auntie, uncle, cousin, all this and that. As much as you wanted to talk about your family, because I would share my family, issues with you in exchange, so you can get to know who I am, right? You may or may not be on the same page, but those are the types of conversations that I was having with Mac T. And, and bro sitting there, he would chime in from time to time and share a little bit about himself. So Mac T, he was open with me. He was honest with me. You know what I'm saying? And the issue came up about one of his cousins named Sam that had got locked up. And I was like, I hate that for you, you know what I'm saying? But he was asking if I could make a call, you know what I'm saying? And when I say call, back in the day, we meant write it up, strike it up, you know what I'm saying? Write a letter to one of the guys that might happen to be at the penitentiary where his cousin Sam was at, so they can look out for him. And I told him, I said, bro, I ain't got no problem with that. The umbrella is in effect. And what I mean by the umbrella, like if you're a relative of somebody that's the business, then we look out for you too. You know what I'm saying? It's unspoken, but it is what it is now. It'll go only so far, but still, we ain't gonna just let anybody mess with you. You know what I'm saying? So I said, man, give me the information where they at and all this and that, and then give me their full name and I'll do that for you. He did that. I hit it up. Put it in the mail. You know what I'm saying? It was gone out. I get a letter back a week later, you know what I'm saying? Brother, I'm like, we got you, Joe T. That's how we did back in the day. Everything was straight. But see, that's about as much as they said. We got you. Now, time is going by, you know, and Mac T and his cousin, they writing each other and all this and that. And everything seemed to be chilling. You know, his cousin told Mac T to tell me how everything straight, appreciate what you did for me, good looking out, all of these different types of things. I'm like, man, bro, we got him. Tell him everything Gucci, you know what I'm saying? So look, about 6 months in, Mac T come to me and said they finna send Sam to the same penitentiary we at. I'm like, okay, cool, man. We got some brothers that got empty cells and all this and that. But Mac T said, nah, look, if I could, I'd rather he be in my cell. I said, bro, that's between you and the unit manager. Y'all got to work that out. I can't, you know, I can have some kind of influence with it back in the day. You know what I'm saying? I tell a brother to move out or move in with this particular brother, but it ain't like we went to the police about it. You understand what I'm saying? So look, here we go. Sam hit the compound. Now, keep in mind, I got a lot of things going on. I can't be all, you know, sitting around waiting to see who this person, see who that person. I don't do all that anyway. You know what I'm saying? He hit the compound, You know, he ain't the business, so I ain't really concerned about trying to see what's up with him, who he is, and who he hang with. I don't care nothing about none of that. I see him when I see him. So, I'm down on the ball field. This is after he had been here at the compound almost a week. So, I'm down on the ball field, me and my number two. And my number two, he's sitting there, he got a grin all over his face. He and ha. And I'm like, what's up with you, bro? He was like, nah, nothing, just chilling, Joe T. Just chilling, my guy. Just chilling, you know. Sam said he gonna try to holler at you today. I said, oh, that's what's up. That's what's up. Then he just started laughing some more, right? I'm like, man, what you not telling me? I know you. What you not telling? He said, no. He said, I want you to see this for yourself. I said, okay, then that was up. So Mac T, he make his way over there, right? I hit him up, do all the things that we do. What's up, bro? You good? He said, I'm good, Joe T. He said, man, can I walk with you, talk with you for a minute? I said, yeah, you can walk and talk with me, man. Ain't no problem. I said, what you want to talk about? Your kinfolk on the way down. I figured, you know, we'll just stay right here. He like, nah, I need to talk to you before he get down here. I said, okay, what's up? Talk to me. We walking laps. Now my number two, he right there with us. He go everywhere I go. Ain't no conversation I'm gonna have outside of his presence. You feel what I'm saying? And if it did happen to be a conversation I had outside his presence, it's just because he wasn't there. There's no secrets with well, it wasn't none between me and my number two. Some are like that. I don't do that back in the day. So here's the thing. We walking and talking. My number two right there. I'm still looking at it because he got this grin on his face, but I'm looking at Mac T. Mac T looking nervous, right? I said, what's up, bro? He said, Joe T, man, I need to tell you something before Sam gets down here. I said, oh, what is it? Everything straight? I ain't got no problems or nothing. He was like, no, it ain't that. You know? I looked at him. I said, bro, spit it out, man. I ain't got time for no games, man. What's up? He said, my cousin, he, you know, I said, no, I don't know. You know, he flipped his hand like that there, right? You know, side to side, you know. I said, no, I don't know. What you talking about? Now I'm starting to get this idea in my head, you know, because I'm looking over at my number two and he just cracking up. Now Sam, on the other hand, he's sweating. I mean, Mac T, he's sweating. I said, man, what's up, bro? He said, man, I just don't want you to feel like, you know what I'm saying, I lied to you, I didn't tell you everything and all this stuff about Sam. I said, bro, if you don't tell me what's going on, we gonna have a problem, man. Because now I feel like you're trying to hide something from me, man. So my number 2 said, hey, Joe, look, man, his cousin's a boy. I stopped where I was at. I looked at Mac T, and I looked at my number 2. I said, so this is what you want to tell me? He was like, yeah. I said, what's the problem then? He said, no. He said, you got to remember, Joe T, I told you I wanted him in the cell with me. That's that on that. I said, that's your cousin, right? He was like, yeah. I said, bro, don't play no game with me. If that ain't your cousin, you trying to be slick, it's going to be an issue. So is that your cousin or not? He said, that's my cousin, Joe T. Then he hit me up, you know what I'm saying? It's on everything. I said, oh, okay then, you locked in. Because if it's a lie, the skin coming off your neck. You know what I'm saying? All of that. But if it's true, I got to respect that. So I don't know anything else other than what he telling me. So I'm going to accept it as true. So we go back to the spot. We sitting down up under the, you know, they got these picnic tables with the little covering over them and all this. So we go back to the one where we are always sitting, and we sitting under there, we chilling. And see, all the guys know that I done put this, you know what I'm saying, this memo out on, you can't be in the cell with no boy, this, and that, because this is what the leadership want. I don't particularly care as long as you ain't in there doing what you ain't got no business doing. It is what it is. We all grown. I'm not going to be micromanaging and policing nobody. You get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, y'all know I'm using the hand in the cookie jar in a metaphoric sense. You understand what I'm saying? Then off with your hand. That's how I deal with that. But anyway, they all coming over and everybody want to he and ha talking about Joe T getting soft, bro. Woo this and that, right? And I'm looking at them like, hold up, bro. Ain't nothing soft about me. You know what I'm saying? But this his family. You know what I'm saying? I said, don't y'all, you know, they been teasing him all week. I ain't know. You know what I'm saying? They all knew. They was waiting everybody want to see my response to it. So they been teasing him, man. Joe T ain't going. He is not going to be in the cell with that boy. Whoop this and that. That is his cousin, though. So here come the boy out on the ball field. Look here. The boy walking. It's almost like, and this is how it is in the penitentiary, y'all. When a new boy hit the compound, it's almost like all of the ones that's undercover and all the ones that's already got boys and all that, they all on them, right? And this boy walking down there, he got on these daggum state blues, looked like he painted them on, and he walking down, and it was almost like the music was playing, and he's throwing it just like dun 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 dun. And I'm looking, I'm like, what is he doing? I'm talking about shaking, and then got his hand bent and waving at everybody, all the other boys, and they speaking like they know each other, say, hey, girl, and all. I'm like, what is y'all? Quit that. What y'all got going on over here? So Sam makes his way over to me. Now, it's almost like, and I know it wasn't like that, but it was almost like the whole compound is staring at me, right? So I'm sitting over there, my number 2. He just act like he, I don't know, just smoked some weed or something. He laughing so hard. He rolling all back and forth on the table. He done get up from the table laughing. He said, man, I need to see how you go deal with this, bro. He look at it. I'm like, all right, that's what's up. Sam come over here. He's standing in front of me. I said, what's up? He said, Joe T. I said, what's up, Sam? I said, what's going on, man? Nice to meet you. He said, call me Samantha. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But I'm going to respect it. That's how you want to be, you know what I'm saying, referred to. I'm going to respect it, but look here. Me and you, we Sam, okay? He was like, all right, that's what's up. I said, look, I ain't got no issues. That ain't how I get down, you know what I'm saying? I said, but let me ask you something. I said, you better tell me the truth. I said, matter of fact, hold up a second. So I told my number 2 to get one of the guys in security and take Mac T on the track. They go walking. Now, me and my number 2, we sitting right there with Sam. I said, Sam, I'm going to ask you something. I need you to tell me the truth. Don't play no game with me. Don't play no game with me. Right? Because if it backfire, you know what I'm saying, it's going to fall on you. It ain't going to hurt me. You understand what I'm talking about? Sam looked at him and said, okay, Joe T. I said, that's your cousin or what? Mac T, your cousin? He was like, yeah, we can. I said, okay. That's what's up. It's all good then. He said, you gonna let us move in together? I like, yeah, if the long as the unit manager cool with it, I'm cool with it. Y'all related. Ain't nobody gonna mess with y'all. Ain't gonna be no problem, no nothing. That's just that on that, right? He like, oh, and then lean forward, try to hug me and all this. And then I lean forward, I hug and pat him on his back, you know what I'm saying? I said, look here, man, we ain't finna be doing all that. It's like the whole compound was looking over at me. They all looking over there. Look at your T over there with the boy. And all this and that, right? And I'm like, man, you be in it, man. Man, you be in it. You know what I'm saying? Because don't get it twisted. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with nobody living their life how they want to live their life. I ain't got nothing to do with me. You feel what I'm saying? Ain't got nothing to do with me. So Sam, he finished talking. He said, you got anything to smoke? I said, man, go holler at one of the brothers. You know what I'm saying? As long as you got money, they'll take care of you. But ain't nothing. You go holler at Mac T. He probably got something. You know, I put his business all out there. You know what I'm saying? He said, oh, well, we'll be straight tonight then. I'm like, all right. So as soon as he walked off, Mac T had made his way back over there to us. Yeah. I look at my number 2. I said, you believe that? He still laughed. He said, bro, I don't know what to believe. I said, you think the brother will play us like that? I said, you think he'll try me? He said, look, still laughing. He said, we finna find out. I said, now you know, if they get caught up doing something, you know what it's gonna be. He said, I already know. He said, man, but the brother lied to you. He put that on everything, that everything was honest and straight up, right? I said, bet that. Okay, we'll see. So look, check this out. They live in a different unit than I do, and my number 2, and my COS. Totally different unit, right? But I tell my COS, I said, who we got in that unit? He said, we got brother this and brother that. He telling me the different brothers, and I'm like, they suspect. Now keep in mind, I want to give y'all some insight into when the 1, 2, and the 3 having a conversation, it's raw and uncut. It ain't about all this, bro, solid, he's straight. If a brother we know ain't solid and straight, we saying that amongst ourselves because you can't make a determination on what it is that you need to do when you lying to yourself. So if I know I got some brothers that shady, or I got some brothers that I think might be sneaking and messing with boys and all this and that, I'm not going to rely on them to do nothing for me in the sense that, you know, depending on what it is anyway, right? So if I got some brothers in the building where Mac T and Sam going to be, that they might be suspect themselves, I'm not finna ask them to do nothing for me because that's gonna put them in a position to manipulate. You understand what I'm saying? They'll tell me they're doing something, but they really ain't. But then they'll take that information and then they'll use that to blackmail the individuals that I got them watching. So if they messing with boys, they'll tell the boy, you either give me what I want or I'm gonna go tell Joe T that you're down here doing this. You see what I'm saying? Y'all follow me now? Keep up with me. So when they was telling me, when, you know, my number 2 and 3 were telling me about the brothers we had in the unit with Mac T and Sam, I'm like, nah, we got to find another way to do that. I just want to make sure, you know what I'm saying, for the next month. I said, because you got to think about it. They ain't been around each other for a while. If they are related, they just chilling. They're going to be making meals together, this and that, the third one. But if they not related and there's something else, they're going to be ready immediately. They can't wait to get things to each other. You understand what I'm saying? I said, so we ain't got a lot of time. I said, can we get somebody moved into the pod? Bro was like, I don't think so. And then I said, okay, let's do something I normally don't do. I said, is it a peon in there, man, that we can deal with, that'll be discreet and tell us what's going on? Bro was like, yeah. He said, but he gonna charge us though. I said, take care of it. So he go holler at the peon. He tell the peon, look, Joe T needs you to do him a favor. The peon say, what is it? He said, he needs you to watch Mac T in that cell and see what's going on in that cell, right, for the next week or so. Dude tell my COS, man, as long as y'all keep me smoking, I got you. I told bro, tell him he can get it when he need it. You know what I'm saying? But don't play. You ain't finna overcharge him. You know what I'm saying? Have somebody go take everything he got up out that house trying to manipulate the situation, right? So check this out. If you want to know how this continues to play out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, right? Because Mac T and Sam, we're going to see if everything is on the level. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.